This video will show you how to use the free content in Rise of Flight United. We will briefly look at the free planes first, then go through the most important controls, learn how to use the quick mission generator, single missions, and the career, which is the main single player part of Rise of Flight. We will also try to join the online server and try the multiplayer. The Albatros D5 is a German plane from late period of the Great War. It was used since 1917 until the rest of the war. Its main features are easy handling and 2 machine guns. It has an inline engine. In Rise of Flight, it is commonly known as a jack of all trades. It is able to outturn faster but worse turning enemies and outrun slower but better turning machines. It is up to a pilot to employ the right tactics when dogfighting various types of enemies. However, pilots should be very careful when diving, because Albatros is prone to lose wings when pulling high G maneuvers. To be able to fly the Albatros properly, pilots will need to operate throttle and also radiator to keep the engine running well. The mixture is automatic in all German planes except the rotaries, that is Fokker Eindecker, Fokker Dreidecker and Fokker D8. One more thing to mention: whenever you look behind and see a white stream on your 6, check the thermometer. Your engine may be overheating and you are steaming. It is very easy to spot a streaming aircraft even at great distances. Don't put yourself to unnecessary disadvantage just by not managing the radiator. The SPAD-13 is a French plane from late period of the Great War. It's one of the fastest planes in Rise of Flight and also one of the worst turners. To be able to use its full potential, you will need to operate the throttle, mixture and radiator. SPAD-13 has an inline engine. To start an engine, you need to set full mixture first. Press E, and once the engine starts running, watch the tachometer and lower the mixture for best possible RPM. If you look behind and see a dark puff every once in a while, your mixture is probably too rich. Lower it a bit. You'll also need to lower mixture as you gain altitude and enrich it when you lose altitude. The SPAD is able to outrun everything under 1.5 kilometers of altitude, can dive very well and is very sturdy. Another advantage are the balloon guns. It is a modification that can be equipped. You have less ammunition and lower rate of fire, but each hit does significantly more damage. Pilots should avoid turning with enemies at all costs and use boom and zoom tactics instead. It is one of the safest planes to be in my opinion, because when you're in trouble you can dive away and run to safety. One of the disadvantages of SPAD-13 is its bad forward visibility, because the wing and the windshield are blocking most of the view. It may be difficult to keep visual contact when maneuvering. Russian version of Newport 17 is an aircraft from early period of the Great War. It is fairly light aircraft and can be very nimble in hands of an experienced pilot. In comparison with the other 2 free planes, this one has a rotary engine. To fly the Newport to its full potential, the pilot will need to operate throttle, mixture and a blip switch. The blip switch is basically an engine ignition cutout button, allowing the pilot to minimize the gyroscopic effects of the heavy rotating engine, but it can also kill the engine if it's held for too long. The N-17 will most probably not outrun any newer enemy machines, but it can hold its own in close turning fights. There is an extra overwing gun that can be equipped, and it can also carry rockets. The rockets are all to be released in a single shot. The wings of N-17 are quite fragile, and great care must be taken in dives. Slipping through the dive is advised to prevent the wings from collapsing and engine from overcooling. The default settings in Rise of Flight United is the mouse control. This is rather an attempt to give an opportunity to players who have no joystick to taste the game. However, you will not be able to control the plane to its full strength. You will certainly not have any advantage over players who use joysticks, and it is recommended to get one if you really want to enjoy this simulator. Apart from the pitch, roll and yaw axis, there's only a few important engine controls, as the machines from this era are very simple in comparison with the Second World War. It is advised to map these controls on comfortably accessible keys, joystick buttons, or ideally levers. Engine start. Upon takeoff, it is basically a signal to your invisible crew to turn your propeller, so press it once and wait until it starts spinning. You may press it in flight to turn the engine off. Throttle. Keep it at idle when you start the engine, then gradually increase it to full. Lower it a bit for better coordination in formation flying. Lower the throttle in steep dives so you don't over-rev your engine. Mixture. It is basically a ratio of air and fuel intake. 100% means full ridge, while 0% is fully leaned. You'll need to set it to full ridge before pressing E for successful engine start. After the prop starts spinning, watch the tachometer and lean the mixture for highest RPM. Radiator. This control helps you to keep the engine operating under optimal temperature. 100% is fully closed, 0% fully opened. Pay attention to weather and outside temperature. You can overheat your engine much more easily on a hot day and overcool it on a cold one. Watch the thermometer. The best operational temperature is just below the red line. Altitude throttle. This control can be found only on the Fokker D7F and the Pfalz D12. It increases RPM, but can be safely engaged only after sufficient altitude was gained. You may gradually increase it and hear the sound of the engine. Once it starts to make sputtering sound, it is too much and you should lower the altitude throttle until it stops. This control can be fully engaged at and above 1.5 kilometers. Because there are no planes that use both manual mixture and altitude throttle simultaneously, it is safe to map these two controls on one axis or the same pair of buttons. Blip switch. This is a small button on the stick. As long as it is pressed, it will cut the engine temporarily, reducing the gyro effect and lowering RPM. Only rotary engines have blip switch. Don't let RPM fall to 0 this way, or you will kill your engine. Blip switch can be handy for better rolling capability or control of RPM during landing. Be sure to check the weapon controls. Apart from primary machine guns, there are also bombs and rockets, options to fire only a specific gun at a time, to depress and elevate the overwing gun, and turret controls. Now we'll explore what can be found in the free version of this game. First and very useful thing is the quick mission generator. There are 3 modes that you can choose from: Skirmish, Survive, and Duel. In Survive mode, you are alone, facing set number of waves of enemy aircraft of one type. Your task is to survive all the waves. You start against one enemy plane, but the number of enemies in each following wave is higher by 1. In Skirmish mode, you simply set up to 3 flights per each side and fight until all the enemies are down. In duel mode, you are facing a single opponent. Once you shut him down, another one appears at the spawn point. In quick mission, you can also set the map, season of the year, weather conditions and various types of enemy vehicles, ships and anti-aircraft guns to be present in the generated mission. Here on the left side I click this little arrow and select a plane from the list. As you can see, there is Albatros D5, Russian version of Newport 17 and French SPAT 13 highlighted. By default, here was selected a plane I don't have. It was the French N17. Make sure you select something you actually own, such as the free planes. I'm fine with the Albatros for now, so let's start the mission. Before I hit the start button, let's see what I actually fly with through the hangar button. I can adjust the amount of fuel, gun conversions and select various modifications. After I'm satisfied with the selection, I click start. And behold, I'm flying a free plane in a free-to-play game. Everything is at the default settings, and as you can see, the mouse control is enabled instead of joystick I use. So there won't be any actual flying involved in here, but it is enough for the demonstration purposes. There are also predefined single missions for most of the airplanes. There are so-called Fly Now missions, from which you can fly the Albatros D5 or SPAT 13. There's no Fly Now mission available for the Russian version of the Newport 17. In these missions you can try everything at once. There's plenty of ground targets, a balloon, and an area where random enemy will spawn to fight if you get close. There is also observation escort mission for Albatros D5 under scenarios, and 2 missions for SPAT 13, rescue a friendly pilot and single patrol. We can find a few campaigns in Rise of Flight, from which the only one that can be actually flown for free is the training campaign. It uses only the SPAT 13 and teaches the pilot the basics of flight and combat. However, this campaign is notoriously known for its difficulty, mainly the last mission, where the player must fight alone against one and consequently against 2 experienced AI, and has to employ boom and zoom maneuvers and shoot precisely to be able to finish it. Let's take a look at the career. This is where it gets a bit tricky. I'll just delete this one here and start a new one. Alright, not much to select here, so Western Front it is. And now the tricky part. As you can see, the game throws us into 1st September 1916, but we don't actually have any airplanes that seen service by this date. So we need to pick a different date to start. How do we know which date? Luckily there's a button that will help us, filter by plane. Here we simply select some plane we do have, the D5 for example, and now we see the green part of the timeline where this aircraft can be used in the career. So we click on the appropriate month in the lower timeline and then select the weekday, hopefully somewhere at the start of this green bar. Now the map looks completely different. There's more airfields and they're using different planes than in 1916. There is there's a little green dot which indicates that this squadron uses the selected type of aircraft. It seems it's the only one right now, so I select this squadron. Here you can enter a few basic information about your new virtual pilot, such as his name and surname, age, rank and biography. You can only select one of the predefined biographies and only the lowest rank to start with. As you get promoted and achieve higher rank, you will be allowed to plan lone patrols for yourself and as a squadron commander you can even manually assign specific pilots to perform generated missions. Welcome to the Western Front. This is a bit of eye candy here. This welcoming screen only shows up when you create a new career and enter it for the first time. Now we're in the squadron room. Apart from the squadron history, here you can track your squadron comrades and their scores, as well as the squadron's global statistics and your actual position. When you scroll all the way down, you can also see which types of aircraft is the squadron currently using and how many machines are actually operational. From time to time, some news will pop up informing you about squadron related stuff, such as a new mail, like here, reinforcements, changes in squadron command, or new aircraft types that become available. Also, each day you will get this weather report. Under the missions tab, you can find the actual missions that are planned for each day. You can be assigned to any number of them. Here, probably because we're a totally green Unteroffizier, we are only assigned to one mission today. We will need to click next and wait for the currently scheduled mission to complete. We can only see the overall status of the mission on this page, that is success or failure, and perhaps a little cross beside the name of the pilot that was killed in action. For more detailed report of the mission, click Reports tab at the top of the screen. Well, first mission is complete, but it's still not our turn, so next one more times. Second mission is complete, and now the Begin Mission button is available, because now it's the mission we're actually assigned to. So, Begin Mission. Pay attention to the mission briefing, patrol route, and better check your plane settings in the hangar. Now we're finally sitting on the airfield, together with other pilots of the flight. Here I've pressed one of the outside view buttons. Please note that all flying is best done from the cockpit view. The outside view may be used only if the difficulty settings allow it, or if you're replaying a recorded track. It is definitely not similar to World of Warplanes or War Thunder, where you can control your plane comfortably from the outside view. So, this is enough for the demonstration. One last thing to mention. Do yourself a favor and read the game manual. It is very nicely done and covers everything you may need to know. What else can you do in the free-to-play version? Well, there's multiplayer. Usually both Albatros D5 and SPAD 13 are available on many maps. However, there are also early maps included in the rotation, so you may have a bad luck and enter a server which actually doesn't support the free planes for the duration of the current mission. Try again later or find another where free planes are available. The Russian Newport is again on the losing side. Being added quite late to the game, it is not included in many missions online. As you can see, there's quite a number of servers running. However, not too many of them are actually populated. I can try and connect to my favorite server. Currently there's around 30 people trying to kill each other right now. As you can see, I can either select the German Albatros or the French SPAD on this particular map. But I'm going to show another thing that I can do here. I can join another player in multi-seater and play his gunner. I can select from the list of players who actually fly the plane capable of carrying a gunner and see if the position is full, empty or grayed out which means locked. It is a good practice to ask the player for permission to hop into his plane and gun for him. Once you click the Occupy Position button, you are spawned into selected position. Press T to grab the gun and Shift T to nestle into the gun sight. Here is some footage of how it may look like to be a gunner. Beware, shooting your own plane or friendly planes is heavily frowned upon and can result in a temporary or even permanent ban of a given server. So that's it. I wish you good luck and see you in the skies. Thanks for watching.